The following program is a Town of Colonie television production of the William K. Sanford Town Library.
Welcome to Mental Health Now. I'm your host, Matthew Shapiro from NAMI, New York State, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. If you've watched our show before, you've often heard me speak about how both NAMI and the show is a place for people to find help and find hope when facing mental illness or mental health challenges. Today's episode is all about finding help and finding hope and raising awareness about mental health issues. And I'm so honored to have my guest today, Tina Lee, who really epitomizes the NAMI success story, her and her family. She's a parent of a young lady who has a mental illness, and she found NAMI, and it's worked wonders for both her and her daughter, Alexis. So we're going to talk about some of the initiatives they're doing today, how to raise awareness about mental health in your community, and how NAMI really is a place to find help. So welcome, Tina. It's so great to have you today.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're such a pleasure to be here. And like I said, in a lot of ways, your story really epitomizes what we try to do here at NAMI, and empower people and support people and educate people. So I want to start by just telling a little of your story and of your daughter's story.
Sure. I think, you're right. I think we do typify the typical family, where, as a parent, I'm a single parent, and, I thought I did a lot of things for my kids as far as addressing physical hygiene. Took them to the dentist, went to doctor's appointments, was very vigilant on, making sure that they knew to brush their teeth, if they were hurt, what to do and, where to go. But my little daughter, Allie, had exemplified mental health conditions, all her life, really, and it saddened me because, when she was going through each crisis, it was more than just denial. It was just lack of literacy. I had no idea.
Confusion,
absolutely.
Of course.
And, again, going to the pediatrician and asking him, hey, I have an older daughter. My older daughter never did those things. What's going on? And she was premature. Allie was premature, so it was always for that reason. And he would ask, physical milestones. Is she crawling? Is she sitting? Is she walking? Well, she became state gymnast. She was fine. In that aspect, but the emotional was definitely not there. And so we went through crisis after crisis. I mean, even at 9 years old, she I found out that later she tried to hang herself.
Wow.
And it was so, I think out of desperation and so much suffering that, she was self-harming every 3 weeks. And it was frightening.
Of course. It's so interesting. I think part of the reason you and I have become so close and close to Allie is I see so much of myself in Allie. And I've told you a little bit about my story. I was diagnosed 4 years old with ADHD. Well, not diagnosed at the time. I was actually expelled from preschool for being hyperactive. They didn't know what to do with me. And luckily, like you, my mom was always my greatest advocate and always asked questions. And, we grew up in New York City where there were more resources, and I was one of the first kids really diagnosed with ADHD and put on Ritalin at an early age. And I remember my parents fighting about it, and I remember all the things that you're talking about, that confusion, the anxiety, the blame. I think there's always blame in families. And I just wish to God, I say all the time, that my family could have found NAMI when they were dealing with me. And then it's interesting, our roles reversed in my family. Then when I was 17, my mom had a nervous breakdown, got diagnosed with bipolar, which is now actually morphed into borderline personality, is her most recent diagnosis. And at 17 years old, trying to explain to my friends and family why my mom wasn't in the house. God, I wish I had an organization like NAMI.
Exactly.
Can you kind of tell how you found NAMI and what that did for you guys?
Well, as I mentioned, Allie was literally self-harming every 3 weeks, and it was a revolving door in the hospital. And every time we'd get the discharge papers, it would say follow up with your therapist, which is what I did. And I just knew it was a matter of time that I was going to bring her in a body bag because it was that heinous, And, again, every time I talked to the clinician, we'd come out 40 minutes, she'd be, fine, bring her back, every 3 weeks. So she actually attempted to take her life a week before Christmas, and we had already scheduled a trip out to see my older daughter in California. And so, we had clearance. I said, are you sure it's okay to go? We went away on the trip and, it missed all this turmoil. We came back. It was a big snowstorm that year. And Allie had stayed a little bit longer with her sister. And again, the doctor said, she would be fine. I think, she has enough support systems. And I had forgotten to take the newspaper off, to stop the newspaper. And there was one newspaper sticking up in the snow. And I remember just pulling this thing out. I was exhausted. I went in and I sat down, and it was an article in the paper. And somebody had covered a family-to-family class. It was Classes to Cope. I just still remember there was a quote by our program director, Joanne Brown, that this class is life-saving. And it gave my daughter back her life, and it gave me back mine.
Right. And just to interject for a second, I know we've discussed the family-to-family course on the show before, but for people who aren't familiar, family-to-family is a 12-week course that NAMI offers at no cost to members of the public, where family members who, with lived experience, have had a loved one with a mental illness, teach other family members about what the ups and downs of caring for someone with mental illness. So, the program is one of the evidence-based programs. It's been tremendously successful for a lot of families. It really changed things for you guys.
And I think one of the things was that it was immediate buy-in for me, because I'd spent a lot of time questioning why my daughter had this, and immediately was answered. It was biological, and at that point I realized it didn't really matter. It was more to the point where, what can I do to help Allie? And the answers were there. I mean, I am very proud to say NAMI-Mid Hudson is really about resources. So, Joanne told me about another class for NEA-BPD, the National Education Borderline Personality Disorder. I took a class very similar to Family-to-Family called Family Connections, and it taught me 12 weeks of DBT skills.
Dialectical behavior therapy, which, again, for people who don't know, that's a therapy for people who have borderline personality disorder, which is one of the hardest mental illnesses to treat. We kind of call it the perfect storm of mental illnesses. And what's interesting about that is it's more about therapy and talk and family and forgiveness, and not as much medicine-based. And it's had tremendous success, too, across the country.
It has a lot to do with, having validation, validating somebody, being empathetic, radically accepting that, this is not going to go away. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon, as we say. And to have enough oxygen to get through the day, get through the month, get through the years, and that's the reality for families. I think we need to be resilient and to understand how to deal with trauma or when there's crises, not to, give in, learn about self-care. It's been an eye-opener. A lot of our families, we actually tell them to take the class, even though their loved one does not have borderline. We ask them to go, and they've all come back and said, the skills that they've learned actually has enhanced their relationship with their partner, their spouse, their siblings. And, we actually, DBT skills, we use a lot of this training in crisis intervention training for police officers as well. So, I think it's a better way to live, absolutely a better way to live. And it's so nurturing, because who doesn't want to be validated? I think that, we don't validate, when somebody's having an episode, the thing that we say is, snap out of it. What's wrong with you? Instead of, man, you must be really suffering.
And taking from what I know about DBT and taking some classes and lectures with Dr. Hoffman, Dr. Perry Hoffman, who's a fantastic doctor in Westchester, who is the head of the NEA. And one of the things that's so powerful is the power of forgiveness in that, and acceptance. Hope for something more, but accept for where somebody is. We always want people to be at another point, but accept right now they're at point A. We want them to be at point B, but accept that now they're at point A, and we have to support them while they're in point A. And it's so important. Like you say, it's not just for borderline; it's for any sort of mental illness. And you never know. And I know Alice had so many successes, and we're so proud of her. She really is one of our main success stories. We'll talk about some of the programs that you do in school presentations, and you mentioned CIT. I know you've talked to police departments about mental illness, but honestly, Allie was supposed to be a guest guest on the show today, and today, unfortunately, wasn't a good day.
It's not a good day.
And you never know when the good days are going to come. You never know when the bad days are going to come, but you have to accept where you are at that point.
Right.
And
I think it's important for families to have realistic expectations, but also have expectations.
Yeah.
We're not saying that you can't have a set of goals for your loved one, but they have to be realistic. And also, you need to, again, like you said, at that moment, the proverb of we're all doing the best we can right now. My loved one's doing the best they can. I'm doing the best we can, and with the caveat that we can all do better.
Right.
And that there's tomorrow that we can deal with. And there's no judgment. There's no saying you're not trying hard enough.
Right.
And again, if we don't, we're not going to have the stamina to survive this, because it's every day is a battle.
And I think you touched on one of the biggest misconceptions about mental health and people who have a mental illness, that they're not trying hard enough.
That's right.
You would never say to someone who had cancer, you're not trying hard enough to beat your cancer. It would be unthinkable.
Right.
But people with mental illness hear that all the time. And when they face challenges, people are quick to deem them as failures. And they're not failures.
No.
The road to recovery is not straight, and it's
And
not
it's
paved. It's bumpy.
Yes, and it's
we're all going to
active.
hit bumps in the road.
And I love how our program director always, Joanne always says it's like doing the cha-cha, and it really is, because every day it's an active verb, and I think that's where it's very different when we talk about recovering from cancer.
Yeah.
Typically, you recover from cancer, you can go back to what you were doing. For most of our loved ones, they may be able to do it, but for a lot, they have to find a different path. And I think I've realized my role, as a parent, and now that Allie is an adult, my role is to find what makes her tick. What makes her passionate about life? What makes her want to get up in the morning, and want to do whatever she needs to do. It's not my job to say, this is what you need to do, and I think that role change is more effective, and it gives me, more hope in that, my job's not to, box her into something. And in a way, I think, I always tell her that she's actually very lucky, because most of us, we go and make the donuts. We don't have a choice. We go and we say, okay, get up, do our thing. But for Allie, it's exciting that she has to find what makes her tick, and that internal compass. And for me, I have to say, I am doing what I love to do now, and so my role again as a parent is to be supportive of her. Whatever, I always joke with her, it has to be legal, but you know what, if she wants to write poetry, I'm going to support her on doing that. And right now that seems like that's what she wants to do, but it's keeping her safe and in recovery. So I'm going to be supporting her to do that, right? So important.
And what's so inspiring about you guys to me is, like I said, you really are the epitome of the NAMI family, where we are a grassroots movement, and it's really families supporting families.
It is.
Individuals living with a disease supporting each other. And you've done so much. Like, obviously, you talked about how NAMI gave so much to you guys, but you've given so much back. And I really want to talk about some of the stuff that you're doing in your community in Dutchess County to raise awareness. And one of the things, you saw our episode last time on mental health in schools and how there's such a gap there, but you're really bridging that gap in so many ways. So talk about some of the stuff you and Allie are doing in schools.
I think because that is so important to us, because Allie did fall through the cracks, and she really suffered, and when, for instance, Ending the Silence came into our affiliate, we thought that is the perfect vehicle for us to get into schools.
Jump one second.
Sure.
So Ending the Silence, for people who don't know, I did mention on the last show, that's one of our in-school presentations that we offer, where people with a mental illness speak in classrooms to students about the realities of mental illness and mental health. It's been one of our successful programs, and we really want to get that in the capital region. But talk about the success you've had with it where you are.
Because I think, we were able to get into schools, which many agencies have difficulty, and we're very proud that we have. Again, we're really about partnership. We don't come in pointing fingers to educators. We come in as, we want to help. And what is amazing, I think this program is so different than other programs that are offered in schools, is that, we're talking, with the students. We're not talking at them. We clearly say in the beginning, we're not professionals. We're not. I'm a mom, and I'm talking to you from that point of view. And we have a young adult that speaks, and I think that's that's always, the crux of that program, because students are curious, what does mental illness look like? Is it somebody with 10 heads? No. And a lot of those students may be diagnosed, and they feel a connection, like, you know what, this young adult is talking about anxiety, or this young adult is talking about self-medicating in an open forum, and we talk very openly about cutting and drinking, substance abuse, even bullying, all these issues that are underlying in schools. And we literally see 5 to 6% of the students coming after the class, either approaching us and saying, you know what, I get it, this is a way to help my friend, or even the school will come back to us and say, they've had students come that were very close to completing suicide coming out for help, and so, we give, for instance, we give a lot of resources out, and we push a lot of the county resources. So, for instance, we give out a resource card. It has all the local resources. For instance, Dutchess County has the helpline, and again, the kids love this QR code. We give incentives, to put that stuff on their phone, because, we say it's like the flashlight app. You might not need it, but if it's there, you can use it. And again, this program, I think, a lot of the teachers who view it say that they've never had a class that's that quiet, so attentive, because it's different. We don't lecture at them. We give them real life experience. We tell them, hey, this is what anxiety might look like, or this is what happened when I noticed things in my daughter. And again, every time we leave, kids come out and they become mental health advocates. Because we know peers help peers. That's the reality.
And I say it all the time. We always talk about. There's always been that. We talk about the stigma of mental health issues and how people don't want to talk about it, but I say it all the time, people do want to talk.
They do.
They
absolutely.
They're waiting for you to open the door, and once you open that door, they flood through. I've seen it so many times, especially with ending the silence.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, this is where, and I'm sure I'll have some pushback by saying this, but I think, having a mental illness, I think having that stigma, it's part of almost the illness, the isolation. And, I think, for me, I've always been open about it. If you don't like me because my daughter has a mental illness, well, maybe that's just not a good fit for me to be friends with you. And once, like you said, once I start talking, every day, I've never met somebody that says, oh, I don't want to talk about it. Somebody always says, I know somebody, or, I need help. I mean, I work out at a gym, and they all know, I'm very open about, Allie's illness. I work for NAMI. Every day I get somebody coming up to me, my friend's in crisis, or my daughter's in crisis, or I'm in crisis. What can we do? And so again, I think we're at a point where maybe we're past that stigma part.
I think we're getting there. It's amazing too. Like I said, people just wait for it. I just know, even like on social media, my personal Facebook account, I'll post something about NAMI or something, and I'll get private messages of people.
Absolutely.
People friends I would have had no idea were struggling with issues.
Absolutely.
And it's a beautiful thing.
It really is. And I've had we're having a walk that's coming up, and I posted that, and like you said, I've had high school friends I have not seen, since 1983, when I graduated. I'm 52 right now, call me. I mean, literally say, can I call you? And, I had a recent phone call. My friend, his daughter was struggling. It's very similar to Allie's, and, we connected again, and, we had to joke, we're like, wow, it took us this long, but this is our connection, and we still check in. We hadn't talked for that long, but again, I think because we all deal with it in some way, shape, or form, we need to talk about it, because the suicide rates, now that I'm in it, even now, because Allie's a college student, we are also doing things on campus, and, for instance, Allie's at Dutchess Community College, and the president, has literally said, I want NAMI on campus. I want these events, for the school year, and we're literally doing things throughout the school year, from photo exhibits, art exhibits, movie, kind of events, and again, hopefully. And
actually, I'm going to jump in. That's why you're such a good guest, because you make my segues so easy. That was the next thing I wanted to talk about, going from schools to our NAMI on campus program, which we have NAMI on campus clubs on colleges and universities across the state, and it's such an important thing, because we talk about about how schools aren't equipped to handle mental illnesses. Colleges really are. It's such there's a real shortcoming there. And we get calls all the time from kids in college where they're worried about a roommate or a friend. They're, and they don't know what to do. So just
I think at that point you're talking about like the next phase for a young adult, because now they're 18, and as a parent, your rights have changed. I mean, HIPAA kicks in, and we all know a lot of mental health conditions surface at a college level. In fact, Allie lost a very good friend to suicide last year. It's a reality, and we have seen such a jump in suicide, self-harm, everything. And when we go onto campus, I think what's frightening is that here you are talking to a young adult that is on their own for the first time. You're expecting them to perform academically, mentally, physically, but they don't know where to go if they have a mental health crisis. And again,
or if it's so much people forget about it, being away from home for the first time. Self-management, it's a lot of pressure.
It's a lot. And again, we're seeing that, again, students want to help each other, but they have no clue. What are the 10 warning signs for a mental health crisis? So again, I think, we're at a point where I think, NAMI is just awesome with pushing that mental health literacy part, because it really gives us a voice. When you're articulate and you understand what's going on, you can make a difference. And we're seeing that from all levels. From the schools, they're open for us to talk about things. College, absolutely. And I think because we don't come in as gangbusters saying we're going to fix this. We're it's broken. Do away with it. Instead, it's really about partnerships, because we need those clinicians.
And it's led by students. Students who are concerned, who want to raise mental health awareness. And so that's the thing. It's not, again, it's adults. It's a peer-based thing, and that it's okay to talk about these things. Here are resources. It's such an important thing, and again, something I wish I had when I was in college.
Right. Exactly.
Talk about my whole. I can do a whole episode just talking about my issues, but we won't digress to that. We're already starting to run out of time. One of the other things that's very important that you guys are doing, I wanted to touch on before we talk about a little broader awareness, as important as it is getting it into schools and colleges, you and I have done tremendous work educating police officers and doing participating in crisis intervention trainings. And here in Albany, we do have pretty good CIT, but can you talk a little bit about what you've done with that?
So, NAMI-Mid Hudson is one of the very few affiliates that covers both we cover two counties, huge. So Ulster, we've already trained a few officers over there. We're hoping that, the county exec will also replicate what our Dutchess County executive, Marcus Molinaro, has pushed for, which is training everyone in Dutchess County in law enforcement with either CIT training or mental health first aid for adults. So, NAMI is very privileged to be included in this very aggressive training within the, we're probably a third of the way through, but it's intense, and it's interesting. When we go in, NAMI usually starts off the CIT training, so we're the opening band, and it's a little intimidating, but you realize at the end of the training that these are people too, and they are doing the best they can. And the change in attitude is amazing. By day 5, I feel like, boy, did Martians come and take away the group and bring in a new group, because they themselves in their families may be struggling with a mental health condition, and they want to know about the resources. And my views changed about law enforcement as well. They really are the guardians. They are here to protect, and they understand the importance of civic engagement. And so I think we're going to see huge change in Dutchess County. Of course, our stabilization center is coming in as well. And
you've really partnered with the county on
absolutely.
that. Absolutely.
Well, and the jails, we're working with them too in implementing a medication form. So a lot of, I think, what we're very successful is successful advocacy. Again, it's not yelling and screaming. It's about partnership. And solving the problems and fixing the cracks. And so we are seeing a whole community coming in. So as we know, healthy minds equals healthy communities.
And just jumping in, one of the ways, and I'm so excited about this to have you on to talk about this, is one of the ways you really garnered that partnership with Dutchess County and what we're trying to replicate in counties throughout the state, especially here in the Capital Region, you were able to do through through the ribbon awareness campaign. You see our
Yes.
lovely ribbon here on the table that you helped
Yes.
put together, bow up, I guess. I don't know if that's the correct term, but talk a little bit about the ribbon campaign and how it's really let you grow in your community.
So, I know, I was at one of our NAMI New York State conferences, and NAMI Westchester was presented with an award for their ribbon campaign concept. And Cheryl Bauman, who was the mother of the ribbon campaign, she and I have gotten to be really good friends. And so she got me very enthusiastic about this campaign. My background's PR, and I thought, this is a no-brainer, okay? You can, for 30 days, you can go out in the community and push NAMI.
Right.
Why wouldn't we do that? I mean, I think that's one of the biggest things that has irked me is that NAMI is one of the best kept secrets. And it really shouldn't. It should be a household word. And so, we collaborated for the last 3 years, and now I am very happy to say that NAMI New York State with our local affiliates will be participating. But this anti-stigma awareness campaign has literally got our foot in the door with every school, every mental health agency, local businesses, college campuses, people. Our classes are full. We've reached a level of awareness, I think, in the community. I mean, people actually have asked me, hey, when are those white ribbons going up? And so this year I think we're going to have close to 1,000 ribbons.
Wow.
I started making them. I have cracks in my but each bow I make, it really, to me, I know it's going to save a life. And so we're very happy this year that New York State is joining us.
And what we're so excited about, too, is this is something all of our viewers can do. I mean, we always say hope starts with you, and this is a great way to help people find help and find hope, which actually it says right in the ribbon there. And if you go to the NAMI New York State website, we have a whole section about the ribbon campaign. Actually, you can't get enough of Tina. You can watch her make the bows. She has a little lesson there. And we really want to get them all over the capital region. So, I mean, people hang them all over, street lights, trees.
And I've posted it on my Facebook and our Facebook page, and I've even sent out bows to California and Chicago area as well. So I think it's a soft approach for anyone who wants to advocate and wants to tie a ribbon. It's a good way to start the conversation, even if it's just one conversation at a time. People have stopped us and asked us, what's that about? And it's awesome. Collaborating.
Like I remember my brother was actually with my uncle down in Beacon and down Main Street for all the ribbons. He called me so excited because there's NAMI's everywhere.
Exactly.
And that's what, it's bringing it into the everyday conversation.
Absolutely.
And one of the things you've been very successful with, I'm rushing, we're getting low on time, is that it's helped you work with schools. And like you say, students need extra
community service hours. Oh, absolutely. They wait till the end of the year before they need to graduate. So we have students coming out tying ribbons all over the community and helping us also cut the ribbons. And again, it starts a conversation. It's never a silent moment. They are talking about it and how to help, how to help their friends. A lot of, even some of the students have disclosed, when we're preparing the ribbons. They've said, I have a mental health condition. And so, again, it changes, I think, the face of what we see, what mental illness looks like and in promoting mental wellness.
Right. No, that's so important. Again, if people want to get active here in the capital region on the ribbon campaign, visit our website, www.NAMI-NYS.org. You'll see the ribbon banner right there. You can click on it. We'll have all the information, how to tie the ribbons, how to reach out to your local municipalities and governments to get them involved. And we're going to be working with Albany, hopefully throughout Colonie and throughout the capital region. We're very excited about it. You also mentioned before we end the NAMI Walks, we're also having our NAMI Walks here in Albany in September 23rd. It's going to be right at the Jennings Preserve by the river. And again, you can go to our website, sign up to start a walk team, and that's a great way to get involved, get people, raise awareness. And really awareness is the key because, like we say, if we want to create a healthy New York, hope really does start with our people and the general population. So unfortunately, that's really all the time we have for today. So thank you so much for sharing your story and your expertise. It's wonderful to have you, and thanks for all you do. And thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you next time on Mental Health Now.